notice, we have, new lighting and we just have a show today. So we're still enjoying our time from last month and our picnic. What a wonderful day it was.
It was hot.
It was warm, but you know, when you have someone who takes the time to take care of us, we appreciate it. And while Tom is okay as a host, Wanda is outstanding. I mean, Tom, we like you, but we're really glad she's with us. I just want you to know.
Totally agree.
Thank you. And Mac, you're back with us. We're glad to see you today. And
Cat.
that's it. I knew that. I almost said it. I just couldn't get it out.
And from where?
Illustrious clients,
Yes, right.
Steve Doyle in Indianapolis.
So now are you here? Have you moved here or are you?
Yeah, Monday.
Oh, boy, you had to drive in too. Then.
Yes, I did.
I understand.
Cat and I were at the same meeting in Indianapolis a couple of months ago, April, I think.
It was.
The Midwest Conclave of Science Society. It was a great deal.
Well, some of those illustrious clients are questionable. No, that's wrong. That's wrong. I shouldn't talk about it. Although I'd like to. Well, we are glad you're here.
Thank you.
And I appreciate the drive in. Your drive is probably about how long did it take you to get here?
Hour and 45.
Yeah, that takes me anywhere from that to 2. I'm coming from up on I-40 in Wilder, Tennessee, up above Monterey. So
I don't know where.
yeah, maybe nobody else.
He just wanted.
Just me and you other people that live in that zip code. So anyway, we are glad you're here. Well, why don't we just start with closing the door.
Good start. There you go.
Thank
And we got another guest also.
you. I know, yes.
Yeah, right here.
You mentioned Mac, didn't you?
Oh,
Alvin's our.
Oh,
Yeah,
Well, I don't count him, but we count and we're glad you're here.
Dr. Stockton.
Dr. Verner from Kentucky, yeah.
He had an hour drive too.
2-hour drive,
From
Owensboro.
Owensboro, not Clarksville, Owensboro. How can I forget that? How was Frederick Street when you left?
I avoid it when I can.
Triplet? You go to Triplet?
No, I'm on the east side, I'm not near those.
And get this, he and John Bester went to the same college.
Yeah, Louisville, go Cards. Woo! CARDS.
Well, had we let him in. We gotta do screening. We have to do screening. Well, we are glad you made the trip.
Thank you.
Did I leave anything else out? Older I get, the more I leave everything out. Teresa, you got 2 notices this week. First email I sent out, I'm not sure where that list came from, but it was wrong. It had members who had passed away over 7 or 8 years ago on that list.
Did it respond?
2, they said they wouldn't be here. So, anyway. In spirit, though, they're always here. That's
And in
true.
truth.
Well, why don't we have show and tell? Did anybody bring anything that they need to show or tell us today about the Sherlockian world?
I got a couple of giveaways if somebody would like.
Thank you very much.
I'll take it.
No, go ahead.
I don't know what anybody been doing. It's funny, I've got a degree, I'm a doctor, I have a degree, never took a foreign language, but I've been doing on Duolingo Esperanto. I read about it 40 years ago in a sci-fi book, so
Yeah.
finally learned enough of it. I said, I'm gonna buy a book. The first book I bought was La Crescendo de la Baskerville. Got this from Amazon and they sent me 2. So does anybody want a copy of an Esperanto Baskervilles? You're welcome to it.
I didn't realize you spoke foreign language. How do you say thank you?
Bonvolu. Yeah. And the other thing I found, I had 2 of these on the shelf from a drug rep from 30 some years ago.
No.
It's a cassette of Scandal Bohemia and Speckled Band from Fison Gastrocrom. It's a lung allergy medicine. Anybody want a cassette? It's still wrapped up in the paper. If you've got a cassette player.
Is it contagious?
No, I've got a, I'll take it.
Oh, sure it is.
You're not gonna have to do
It's still got shrink wrap on it.
I'm so old.
Found an extra one.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
My man come back off.
Other, bills.
Some of you know about this already. John Lellenberg wrote 5 volumes of the history of the Baker Street Irregulars. And, very detailed documentary histories of the Baker Street Irregulars. And, the last one appeared in 1999, 26 years ago now. The 6th volume is coming out January. It is edited by Julie McCurris of Minneapolis and myself. We've written the text of it. It is in the hands of the publishers. It is called Irregular Chronicles of the Early 1950s. It covers 1951 through 1955. It is a time of when the great titans that really made Baker Street Irregulars what they are today were still alive. Vincent Starrett, Edgar Smith, Elmer Davis, James Montgomery. Ben Aberson died during that period. J. Finley Chris, Baron Gould did his chronology at the time. It also had some important events. It had the exhibition in London and New York, the Rathbone play that failed and was premiered in Boston but failed in New York after this. It had this TV series with Ronald Howard, and it was marked all the way through by this contention, this mean contention between Adrian Conan Doyle and Baker Street Irregulars. So it's going to be an interesting piece of work. It's in the hands of the publishers. It will appear in January, I guess, the BSI weekend, and then it'll be available through the Baker Street Irregulars press. So
You mean it's gonna be available through the Bill Mason, I'm gonna get copies for everybody that needs one?
that's correct. It won't be available that. You know, they don't do those books very cheaply, but it is going to be in the same format. If you've got any of the Lundberg histories, they were done with a red cover.
Oh, really?
And it's gonna be along the same lines with that. It is the next in that series, even though there's been a 26 year period. I don't have the benefit, Julie and I did not have the benefit that John did of talking to people who were actually there.
Yeah.
And so,
But you had the benefit of talking to Julie, and she's fun.
well, Julie's been fun to work with, and she's a good researcher, and of course, I've done a lot of writing over my career, so we think we put together a pretty good book. It wasn't exactly John Lellenberg's style with more stream of consciousness, I think, and ours is more chapter oriented, which I hopefully will be read. It'll, and then the next one, we're doing the next one too, which will cover 1956 through 60. Which the final event of 1960 was the death of Edgar Douglas Smith, so it'd be a good time to stop that. And that now either next year or next. X-File to do these. Then whoever has the 1960s is going to have a harder problem because there's not as much documentary effort. Julian Wolfe, who took over after Smith, did not keep all his correspondence. So, but there'll be a few people still around that can remember things and hopefully help with it for them, but we're not doing that. So, so this book will be out in January, and hopefully all of you will want to buy it.
Oh, absolutely. Great.
Well, the others are good. I assume this will be better. Well, how was that? Well, thank you for your service. It needs to be done. Thank you. I don't know that I'll get to the last edition of that, but based on the schedule they have, but maybe in the nursing home, someone will deliver the late 90s to me or something. Other. Go ahead.
While we're talking about books, Nicholas Meyer's next and possibly last Sherlock pastiche called Sherlock and the Real Thing will be coming out in September. And I gather it deals with the art world and what is legit, what is real, opposed to forgery. Forgery, exactly.
And that's it.
That's all I'm.
That's good to know. Yeah.
There will be a book signing in Indy.
Oh, that's close enough.
Let's all go.
Yeah, Nicholas Myers coming in with the lustrous finance. I got down my calendar, pretty much interested. I think I'm gonna go. I got the last book signed by one that was here last year. It's September 13th, but they got a book signing on the 12th.
What day is that of the week?
12th is Friday
Okay.
and 13th is the illustrious clients meeting, because he's a member of the illustrious clients. So the 12th. I don't have the exact time the signing is on that Friday, which is probably when I'm driving in. That Friday.
Well, the clients will put on a party.
Yeah.
It'll be an event, so it'll be a great thing to go to if you can. Of course, they may not let us in.
How far a drive is that?
Well, don't tell them you know me.
Find out. From my house, about 6 hours, might even be 4.5, you know. I know from Clarksville, my son lives in Clarksville, it's like 4 hours, but. It's always a good time, but like I said, if nobody's been to a Luster's clients meeting, you kind of have to RSVP, because it gets sold out. Theirs is in the evening at different restaurants, 6 times a year.
They're a lot more formal than we are.
No, it's not that formal, it's just.
Their stuff, no, they're not. I'm going to pick with Stephen in that group. They're really good people. I've enjoyed knowing them. Oh, yeah.
The Sherlock Holmes stuff.
Yeah.
Me.
I have show and tell.
You do, show.
This is the facsimile of the original Holmes manuscript with an introduction by Colin Dexter. Anybody know him?
Yes, Inspector Morse.
Inspector Morse. And an afterword by Richard Lansman Green. And I'll be talking about what they had to write in here apropos of Lansman and the dwindling of the Sherlock Holmes stories. Which they decided upon. But this is really good. Now, if you will, turn right to the first page, because in the lion's mane, you'll see a lot of scratching out. There was a whole different story going on for a while, and Conan Doyle took it all out. He didn't like it. That's very rare for him, you know. I'll just pass this around and.
In most of his manuscripts, he barely made any change. When he's trying to write, he was.
Yeah, many of them. And, well, go ahead, I'll get to that later.
All right, others?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I mentioned before, but I ran across a PDF version of the entire canon. And so I found it easy to print out the 10-page story or whatever, like so, and if anybody would like that canon email, just shoot me your request.
Or you're certainly welcome. I think the last email I sent out is the right one. If you wanna shoot a note back out to everybody on that, reply to all, that'd be great.
Sure, okay, I'll do it, thank you.
But I do that quite often, and that way you can make notes on it. I hate to write books or something like that. It's kind of unholy or
And
something.
using the PDFs to search, really.
It is tremendous, yeah. You can search the entire canon or keyword search.
Yeah.
Put things up.
That's what's great American.
Steve Mason has that, I think, on his site. You know, he's a wonderful,
Uh-oh.
for like a loan.
He just leaned into the screen. Steve, are you up there?
Talk to us, Mason.
I am here.
No,
Your name was just used in vain by Jim Hawkins.
Use sign language too.
Wouldn't be the first time.
No, not here.
you see the other remote.
He's always.
Billy, he left my other remote down here.
All right.
It's the black one on the windowsill.
Oh.
He runs the crew of the Bark Lone Star. It's in Texas. And Mason lives in Denton, Texas. A wonderful crew.
Oh, that's his handwriting on it. Try now, Steve.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can. Thank you.
Yes.
Should we?
Well, we're glad you're here. Jim had just mentioned your name and you're there, so we should say hello.
Don't you have PDFs on your site?
Yeah,
Of the canon?
I'm sorry, what?
Do you have of the canon, the entire canon? Or is it?
Yes. Well, it's on the Beacon Society page. If you go to where it says comprehensive stories, all the stories up there as PDFs, and they're also up there as audiobooks if you want to. We have audiobooks of all 60 stories if you'd rather listen to them.
Oh, great.
That's how I prepared.
What's the basic?
Well, thank you. Steve, while we've got you, just real quick, could you give us, we have a couple of new folks that aren't as familiar with the Beacon Societies, maybe some of us are. Could you give us the 2-minute, why it's important?
The Beacon Society was founded 20 years ago as to try to teach kids about Sherlock Holmes, and mainly to get them to start reading more and using Sherlock Holmes as a way to do it. And so there's several things that we do. One of the big things is we give out grants every year to teachers and librarians and theater groups and stuff that if they will teach Sherlock Holmes, we can give them a grant up to $1,000. And I think we gave out like 15 of them this year already. We also, like I said, we have a great website that has all sorts of stuff that younger Sherlockians and even adult Sherlockians can go and learn a lot of stuff about. And we have an essay contest and a pastiche contest for kids that they can enter each year also.
Steve, thank you. I remember well when Beacon Society started way back. And I remember the first talk about it in New York, and it's certainly grown and has blossomed and done great work. So thank you for what you do and the others that have worked on it over the years.
Yeah, I have to blame some guy named Bill Mason, who was the headlight of the Beacon Society and talked me into becoming the communications chair on an interim basis until they found a permanent one. And I think 9 years later, I'm still on an interim basis, I guess.
I'm not there anymore.
He's persuasive that way.
Yeah.
Monica, did you want to make a comment?
No,
You
I'm
are
good.
muted. There you
Yeah. Hey, thank you. Long time listener, first time caller. Thanks for taking my call. It's a pleasure to be here. And I miss the East Coast. I'm from North Carolina, so it's always wonderful to hear your voices and accents. Thank you for asking. Yes, I wrote a play, and it's called Last Case of Dr. Watson. And if anyone here is a fan of Sherlock Holmes, if you would like to read the play and have something nice to say about it that we can use as a quote, please let me know. I will include my email address in the chat. We did get one review from a member of the crew of the Bark Lone Star named Ann Cadell, and it was absolutely wonderful. And so if you're interested, let me know. And thank you again. It's a pleasure to see you guys and to hear you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Mike.
Well, okay. I think, go ahead, Dave.
I just remember one other thing to mention. Does everyone here get the I Hear of Sherlock Everywhere emails?
Yeah.
So you'll notice about the William Gillette lecture that's going to be presented in September by Susan Dollinger.
Right.
And you can register free to zoom in on that, but you need to act soon if you're going to, because they will fill up apparently. So,
All right,
I don't remember the exact date.
September the 14th,
Okay.
I believe it is. I'm not sure.
Susan will be fabulous, I'm confident.
I emailed Susan when I saw the announcement and she said, oh, hell. Said, they always put that out there before I'm ready to send. So now I've got to go see what I told them I would do.
It sounds exactly like her.
So where's the lecture?
Well, okay.
It's
Anything else?
online on the, it's,
Yeah, not sure where she is. She will be.
yeah,
It's a Baker Street lecture series.
and the BSI annual lecture. I think, Besser did it last year or something like that.
So what, do you have to be a member of BSI?
Oh, you just sign in. We'll send you the link, okay?
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we'll send me the link too.
Yeah, I've
Send that.
never heard that, but I've never gone to BSI.
Yeah. Well, they have a lot of stuff for free, I think. Yeah, go ahead.
No, it's just adjusting Kim.
Without further ado, we will go to Jim Hawkins, who will share with us the mysteries of the lion's mane. So Jim, floor is yours.
Hopefully, this will take us, is that widescreen? That's what we need. That's good enough.
Okay.
Lion's Mane, was the 59th story out of 60 that Commodore wrote. And as I showed you in the pass around, he scratched out and cut out 3 or 4 pages of it and started all over. But it went into the case book. I have it here, the case book. We'll be reading from some of that. It came out in 1927, I think. And he wrote it by himself because he had moved to Sussex and Watson stayed in London. And some of the Sherlockian scholars felt that he really missed Watson writing the story. And what Colin Dexter had to say about it was really good, I think, to its apropos. I don't mean to put it down because it's a wonderful story. It really is. Some of Doyle's really fine writing, you know. So we'll get through it here. Here's Yen. Sherlock has retired to Sussex. Watson stays on in London. My house is lonely. I, my old housekeeper, and my bees have the estate all to ourselves. If you were here last month when we were out at the Vikstrom's, David had pictures of being down on the chalk cliffs, you know, and the house down there. It's pretty cool. So it seems it's the most singular thing. This is how Holmes starts out. A most singular thing that a problem which was certainly abstruse and unusual as any which I have faced in my long professional career should have come to me after my retirement. I can identify with that because a lot of come my way after my retirement. The whole thing that John doesn't show at all. And be brought, as it were, to my very door. It occurred after my withdrawal to my little Sussex home, when I had given up myself entirely to that lazy life of nature for which I had so often yearned during the long years spent amid the gloom of London. You know, I was thinking back through the stories. I don't ever remember him talking about, gee whiz, I wish I could get out of London and go somewhere. But anyway. At this period of my life, the good Watson had passed almost beyond my ken. An occasional weekend visit was the most I ever saw of him. Thus, I must be my own chronicler. And that's how it starts. It's a great story. Half a mile off, however, is Harold Stackhurst's well-known coaching establishment, the Gables. Quite a large place which contains some score of young fellows preparing for various professions, with a staff of several masters. Stockhurst himself was a well-known rowing blue. What do we know about a blue? Anybody remember what that means in the story?
Someone who represents their
Yeah.
school.
I guess
in
it
an
was
event.
often an athlete or somebody who, you know, like getting a letter on your jacket, yeah. An excellent all-around scholar. He and I were always friendly from the day I came to the coast. And he was the one man, who was on such terms with me that we could drop in on each other in the evenings without an invitation. Holmes meets up with Stackhurst for a walk along the cliffs when this mystery begins. And they come upon Fitzroy. How do we pronounce it? McPherson? McPherson, okay, good. I wasn't sure. Anyway, and there's McPherson. And soon after that, we start understanding what they're seeing. And I just love this part of it. Okay, here we go. Toward the end of July 1907, there was a severe gale. The wind blowing up channel, heaving the seas to the base of the cliffs and leaving a lagoon at the end of the tide, at the turn of the tide.
There's a creature in it.
I love this new screen. It's wonderful.
You actually see it, it's great.
Yeah, I know it. Not only did the storm bring the mysterious killer into the lagoon, but it also brought a school of red herring.
Oh, boy.
Ooh.
Nothing like a good red herring. in it.
There's red herrings all over this story. But as we will see, there are red herrings,
Oh, there's something fishy about
there are
it.
red herrings all over Doyle's writing.
Or,
I love it.
and then pop
There
it.
you go. I try to have fun with this things, you know. I'm not a scholar, but I put a few little funny things.
They're still coming.
Okay, so we are going to dip into the meaning of the red herrings. Okay? Ooh, it's been around a long time. And here we go. The red herring, a literary device in the Sherlock Holmes stories, misleading cues and the art of deception in detective fiction. I'd have to be honest with you. I put in a few words, a few questions, and this is all AI written. It just blows my mind. I didn't like this, and nobody else did either. But it's amazing what they've come up with, you know, so I just went with it and said, you know, put a picture of Doyle in there. A false clue, a misleading trail, a narrative sleight of hand intended to distract readers and characters alike from the true solution. Few writers have wielded this device with such elegance and subtlety as Sir Arthur Conan Doyle in his celebrated Sherlock Holmes stories. And it's, I guess, every mystery writer that's ever written one has thrown some of these in. The red herring. The term red herring finds its roots in smoked, strongly scented fish that was once used to distract hunting dogs from the scent of their quarry. In literature, it refers to any detail, character, or event that misleads and diverts attention away from the actual culprit. Put my glasses on, I'll be able to see this better. What is the purpose of in detective fiction? The fundamental role of a red herring is to create uncertainty by peppering the narrative with plausible suspects and tantalizing clues. The author encourages speculation and theorizing, all the while steering the audience away from the truth. This device not only maintains the mystery's tension, but also allows for more dramatic and satisfying revelations when the true solution is finally unveiled. And this story is a classic of that. Okay. Now, what do we have here? The very first story. What is the red herring in the Study in Scarlet? You remember?
Misinterpretation of the word written on the wall.
Absolutely. Rock on. And somewhere here, oh, here we go. I love this writing. He says, so we have Gregson and Lestrade working this case. Holmes shows up. And come here, he said, bustling back into the room. This is Gregson. The atmosphere of which felt clearer since the removal of the ghastly inmate. Now stand there. He struck a match on his boot and held it up against the wall. Look at that, he said triumphantly. I have remarked that the paper had fallen away in parts. In this particular corner of the room, a large piece had peeled off, leaving a yellow square of coarse plastering. Across this bare space, there was scrawled in blood red letters a single word. Rock, whatever. What do you think of that? Cried the detective. With the air of a showman exhibiting his show, this was overlooked because it was in the darkest corner of the room, and no one thought of looking there. The murderer has written it with his or her own blood. See this smear which has trickled down the wall. That disposes of the idea of suicide anyhow. Why was that corner chosen to write it on? I will tell you. See that candle on the mantelpiece? It was lit at the time, and if it was lit, this corner would be the brightest instead of the darkest portion of the wall. And what does it mean now that you have found it? Asked Gregson in a deprecatory voice. Mean? Why, it means that the writer was going to put the female name Rachel. But it was disturbed before he or she had time to finish. You mark my words, when this case comes to be cleared up, you will find that a woman named Rachel has something to do with it. Oh boy. It's all very well for you to laugh, Mr. Holmes. We may be very smart and clever, but the old hound is the best when all is said and done. So, do we know how that went? Was it Rachel? Is that a red herring?
Very much.
Absolutely. Anyway, did you think of other red herrings in the canon? That's kind of a hard question, I know, but it's rife with them, and I think this story is so obvious that they're there. So we're gonna get back to Conan Doyle's red herrings and the lion's mane.
Every kind of.
So he's gonna move us along to the wrong solution, absolutely from the very beginning. He's in the text, it says he was that McPherson was terribly flogged by a thin wire scourge. If you're reading this for the first time, you're going like, oh, it's terrible. And he moves further. The instrument had to be an instrument, right? With which this punishment, had you got motive there, had been inflicted, was clearly flexible, for the long, angry wheels curved around his shoulders and ribs. This man has been whipped to death by someone. You think? He had been scourged in some savage, inhuman fashion, tortured until he bit his lip through in his agony and was left with only strength enough to crawl away and to die. Who had done this barbarous deed? Let's look a little further into the story. Well, Conan Doyle, or Holmes, Watson's out of the picture here. Hello? Thank you. Holmes leads us to suspect Murdoch. And here's some racist stuff coming in, right? He's tall, dark, taciturn, and aloof, so that none can be said to have been his friend. He seemed to live in some high, abstract region of surds and conic sections, with little to connect him with ordinary life. So he's from the school, from Stacker's house, school, sorry. He's the mathematician. Okay, that's the first clue here. Let me see.
We're allowed to ask a question.
Yes, yeah, go ahead.
It never designates like high school or college, like how do we know?
It's a finishing school, this is.
Okay.
So they're getting ready to go to a profession, and his school is for that. Now, surds and conic sections, what is that, for heaven's sake?
Mathematical terms.
High mathematical terms. Now, who do we know that? Yeah, that's involved with mathematical terms. Moriarty. So that's another red herring, right? Let's attach this guy to the worst criminal in the whole story. Holmes says that Moriarty wrote the binomial theorem in the final problem, which I want to compliment Bill Mason on, because our next story is the final problem. And here's a little hint at it right here. 1893. He also wrote, and I love this, the dynamics of an asteroid. And that book was so difficult that it could not even be reviewed because the people who read it didn't understand one word of it. I think that's clever. Anyway, let's see what else we got here about Murdoch. Oh, I'm doing the wrong one, sir. Okay, is it there coming in? Come on down, come on down.
Point it over this way.
Okay, this way.
There it goes.
Okay. Now, he's just leading us along the path here. There was some strange outlandish blood in the man, which showed itself not only in his coal black eyes. Sorry for anybody that may have coal black eyes here. And swarthy face, but also in occasional, oh, somebody's coming in. Okay.
Rich.
Yeah, Rich, good. Which showed itself not only in his coal black eyes and swarthy face, but also in occasional outbreaks of temper, which could only be described as ferocious. This guy has to have scourged this poor man on the top of the cliffs. Let's move ahead a little bit here. How much is that dog? I threw through the window because Murdoch lost his temper one day and threw McPherson's dog through the window. Okay, well, that's too bad. Let's look at that for just a minute. On one occasion, being plagued by the dog belonging to McPherson, Murdoch had caught the creature up and hurled it through the plate glass window, an action for which Stackhurst would certainly have given him his dismissal had he not been a very valuable teacher. Such was the strange, complex man who now appeared beside us. There's the poor little dog, and here is the complex man. Still beside us. I'm sorry, guys, I have to use what I can. This is actually in a Sherlock Holmes game. They put in my picture for one of the inspectors. Let's move ahead a little bit further here. Okay, now, before we get to that, I have a couple of guys standing by to help us read the story. I'll give it to you.
Sitting by.
Here's about Murdoch. Murdoch was one of the he was a mathematical coach at the establishment we talked about, the Gables. A tall, dark, thin man, so taciturn and aloof that none can be said to have been his friend. He seemed to live in some high abstract region of surds and conic sections with little to connect him with ordinary life and on. So, Murdoch shows up at the crime scene and he begins to talk.
Were you,
Not yet. He's got the first one.
Poor fellow, what can I do? How can I help?
were you with him? Can I tell you, can you tell us what has happened?
No, I was late this morning. I was not at the beach at all. I've come straight from the Gables. What can I do?
You can hurry up to the police station at Fulworth. Report the matter at once.
That's it. Without a word, he made off at top speed. A little later in the story, it come to the garden gate of the haven, which had opened with a man had emerged. There was no mistaking that tall, angular, straggling feature. It was Ian Murdoch, the mathematician. A moment later, we confronted him up on the road. Hello?
Hello, said Stackhurst.
Go ahead.
The man nodded, gave us a sideways glance from his curious dark eyes, and would have passed us, but his principal pulled him up. What were you doing there? He asked. Murdoch's face flushed with anger.
I am your subordinate, sir, under your roof. I am not aware that I owe you any account of my private actions.
In the circumstances, your answer is pure impertinence, Mr. Murdoch.
Your own question might perhaps come under the same heading.
This is not the first time that I have had to overlook your insubordinate ways. It will certainly be the last. you will kindly make fresh arrangements for your future as speedily as you can.
I had intended to do so. I've lost today the only person who made the cables habitable.
Good. Thanks, James. That's it.
That's it.
Thank you. These guys didn't like each other, okay? You understand that? Now we're gonna come back to the manuscript here. And it's introduced by Colin Dexter. Here's what he has to say. The central weakness. It has been our delight almost invariably to observe the great man, Sherlock Holmes, through the eyes of the good Watson, the eyes that saw and saw not, forming an appropriate anagram, those last two words. With Watson as our chronicler, we are ever catching glimpses at that one vital remove of the glorious and mysterious workings of a wonderfully clean brain. With Holmes as narrator, the dramatic tension, the distancing, the filtering, the mystery are all gone. It is the relationship between Holmes and Watson, that immortal pair, which must always be at the heart of things, and we should be grateful that Conan Doyle was doubtless fully aware of this fact and experimented so little with giving any first-person narration to Sherlock Holmes himself. So there's only a couple of stories that Holmes writes, and this is one of them. Okay, let's go to the end of that manuscript and look at what Sir Lancelot Green has to say. By the way, this Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, edited by him, has his signature in here. I got this, he signed it in 1995 at John Benishaw's service in Indianapolis. So this is one of my favorite books. John Gore voiced the feelings of many when he complained in the Spear on 6 November 1926. That's after the story just came out. That the Sherlock Holmes vein seemed to be wearing thin. It was a bonanza mine, and he has paid rich dividends to its deserving owner, but recent washings have revealed the baser metal. Of the last 30 tales of Sherlock Holmes, 24 at least have been unworthy of Holmes, unworthy of his creator. In the last decade, Sir Arthur has struck a score of staggering blows to my idol. So Conan Doyle has been criticized since the first story, I guess, and everyone since then. Everybody thinks they can write a better story. But in the Lion's Mane, we have all these herrings, we have people lambasting, but it's still a wonderful story. We have one other piece of information here, I hope comes up. No, here it comes. There's the culprit, right? What bothers me about the story is that this horrible thing here, this Cyanea capillata, is in the lagoon and it stays there. And everybody who goes down there, like the guy's dog goes down to see where his master was, and it whips a cord around him. And then Ian Murdoch gets down there and he gets slapped around by it. So why these people keep going down there, I'm not sure. And the thing's like alive, he keeps getting them. So anyway, that's the Lion's Mane there with all these other red herrings telling us it was.
One thing about that, how likely is it that the dog would get into the water, go swimming around and get, because it would have to be swimming and down under the water.
Yeah, right.
To mesh with that, because the thing was down on a rock.
Right,
Below
yeah.
the level, and a dog pedals, it's generally on top.
Generally. but
Yeah.
They,
I don't know, it just doesn't seem real likely. That will
This
occur.
story, you have to read it with the belief in it.
Yeah.
But it's Holmes' writing, he didn't get it right all the way, see, that's probably not. And then how do they kill it finally? The rock.
Yeah.
Drop a heavy rock on it.
Morocco?
Rock.
Ah.
And in truth, I don't think the sting of this jellyfish can actually kill people. Now, I think, McPherson had a weak heart, probably aided some of that, but, anyway. It's a great story. I love reading it, and his prose is wonderful, but it's just full of holes, you know? So, that's it, folks. That's all I got. Any discussion?
Well, they sure administered a lot of brandy to the second.
Yeah, that's a good part.
Here's everything, just kept pouring it in.
David?
One of the things that I often comment on is the attitude of the Victorians and great fear of people from outside.
Yeah, you're right.
Which includes not only people that aren't like them, but also animals. The story that Dean led us in about the people down in Africa, was it? Where the giant snake came up and was gonna eat everybody. You know, there's a great fear of all this stuff like that.
Exactly.
In my understanding, which means I made it up and I like it and I'm going with it. Right? My understanding of all that is a fear of devolution. Devolution. And if you pick up people talking, even from, well, I did a presentation, I don't know if it was last Saturday session or one before that,
Yeah.
talking about anti-Semitism, things like, you know. You start to pick up in the 1900s or 1900s and all the way up there. And so, well, you can't expect them to do well because they're Jewish or they're black or they're whatever.
Yeah.
By the time I got to Sunday school in the 50s, yes, I was born in the 40s, about the 50s, and we were actually taught that black people were inferior, but it was our job as superior people to raise them up. And we've all seen the horror stories of
Like
churches
Pittsburgh.
and governments
Yeah.
going back and gonna steal the kids away and like that, stuff like that. My point is that the fish got out of its natural boundary
Yeah,
into the pool.
okay.
We went from our natural boundary into the pool. If you interact with those people or those things, something bad is liable to happen to you. And so to me, that's a part of society's warning from the Victorian era.
Yeah.
Of watching of being cautious.
Yeah.
Now, that's just my opinion, but I thought I'd throw that out.
With all these code words, swarthy and black-eyed and tall and things, Bill?
Three things I want to mention is, first of all, Conan Doyle always had trouble finding inspiration for the stories. And the inspiration for this story came from a book that he actually mentions in this story, which is a real book by J.G. Wood,
Yeah,
out of Doyle,
right.
which I have a copy of. I regret I didn't bring it with me.
Oh,
Which describes the lion's mane.
it's an actual book, right?
It's an actual book. I've got a copy of it. And has an illustration of the lion's mane in it. So he used that as an inspiration for the book. Two, can you remember what other stories Sherlock Holmes wrote himself?
The Blanche Soldier.
The Blanche Soldier. So the Blanche Soldier and Lion's Mane, both of which don't feature Dr. Watson. And is there a reason for that? That's a necessary literary device in both stories. Why?
Well, in this case, wouldn't Watson have recognized that this is,
Exactly.
Medical issue.
Watson, a doctor, would have recognized what was going on with the Blanche Soldier. It wasn't leprosy. And in this case, he would have recognized
point.
it wasn't a whip, it was an animal inflicted wound. So, both these stories written by Holmes supposedly, or certainly, since we know he actually lived and wrote these stories, is a necessary literary device and necessary that the doctor not be present. The third thing is that some years ago, Brad Kiefhofer wrote a piece about how Maud Bellamy was the ideal woman for Sherlock Holmes. And he and I both rejected the idea that Irene Adler was his love interest, which is a popular but totally erroneous idea for three reasons. One, that Irene Adler was an adventuress, which means basically a high-class mistress, and landed gentry like Holmes would take it up with her in a romantic way. Another was that he wasn't interested in women at all, as he often said. Another was that she was married, Geoffrey Norton, so that kind of makes it, he would be an adulterer. And third, she was dead. She was the late Irene Norton. So that's kind of expensive. So, But I wrote a piece, I'm sure y'all have all read in my book, Pursuing Sherlock Holmes, which many of you read many, many times. About how Ma Bellamy was not the ideal woman for Sherlock Holmes. If he had an ideal woman, which I don't think he did, the obvious choice would be Sophie Cratides, who fled from England after the two killers and the Greek interpreter killed them both, and in the right part of the country to have met him during the hiatus and been the mother of Nero Wolfe.
You're a wolf, of course.
So,
Makes perfect sense.
but
Plausible, very plausible.
those observations about the lion's mane,
What he said about Maud Bellamy was, I could see at once that no young man could cross her path unscathed.
yeah, which is why Brad came up with the idea.
Yeah.
She was was a precious flower, a beautiful flower, something like that, along those lines, so.
I was gonna read that from the story, go ahead.
In the radio show with Flood Merrison, the Burt Cool's version, he brings Watson in because they did the whole
Right.
canon.
I listened to that.
Yeah, so, yeah, go listen to that again. Watson comes down to visit Holmes in his retirement, and he says, I've written another story, I want you to read it. And Holmes says, well, I've written a story too. You read this one and see if you can solve it before you get to the end of it. So Watson's reading it, so he wasn't there like this version showed.
Right.
But, the other version that Watson was writing was turns out to be lines from the Gillette play.
Oh.
That was terrific, I love it. One thing else I wanted to mention, sorry. You're bringing the facsimile. Conan Doyle was known as the printer's friend because his writing was so legible.
Yeah.
That they could easily typeset it.
It is true here, except for that one area which he decided, went down the wrong road and said, no, we can't do that, scratch. Wrote words above it, you know.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Just from a medical standpoint, brandy or alcohol is a vasodilator, which would make sense to help the situation.
Oh, okay.
From the dilates and allows the blood flow like morphine would or something, you know.
And Holmes did finally, maybe it's after he read Wood's book, see that if it had been a wire, it would have been the same, you know, wheel or welt, all the same, but it wasn't. And I was just shocked by how taken, like you said, Holmes was with this little girl, you know, he said, but the words were taken from his mouth, her brother was talking, by the appearance of the lady herself. There was no gainsaying that she would have graced any assembly in the world. But who could have imagined that so rare a flower would grow from such a root and in such an atmosphere? Women have seldom been an attraction for me, for my brain has always governed my heart. But I could not look upon her perfect clear-cut face, with all the soft freshness of the downs, in her delicate coloring, without realizing that no young man would cross her path unscathed. Such was the girl who had pushed open the door and stood now, wide-eyed and intense, in front of Harold Stacker. That chapter just blew me, that paragraph just blew me away.
Yeah, but if you read on about his interview with her, talking to her, you realize that how vapid a little person she was and would have never been a man.
Yeah. But Holmes is retired and he's changed his story a little bit, and he talked about his own brain a lot in the story, right? I got a little package in here and I can come up with stuff because Watson wasn't there to talk about him, so Holmes is having to talk about himself, and it's a weird story. It's funny, but it's fun to read. David?
I had one more thing just occurred to me. We know Sussex is important in the Holmes story, because not only did he retire there,
Right?
but the famous, of course, we can't get through a meeting without mentioning the Musgrave thing, which was in Sussex, of course. But I'll also mention, this story's on the East Coast of Sussex. If you go up just a little bit and to the northwest of that, you've got the estate of the De La Haye family, which is my family.
Oh.
And whatever they tell you about Holmes, I guarantee you the De La Haye had people at his state. And it's still there, actually.
Oh, wow.
It's still there right now. It's interesting. I love it. Do y'all love it when you find pure historical facts overlapping in with
Yeah,
homes?
yeah,
And you can, and to me, it makes me want to go further and see
right.
what else he got. Thank you.
Got a couple.
Okay, go ahead.
Just a general comment on the writing, it was written by Holmes. It doesn't strike me as a level of intellect that you would credit Holmes with having the way the narrative written, the style.
Well, he's rusty in his retirement.
Not as sharp.
Not, yeah, not as.
So he had a certain number
It
of
wasn't
words he had to write.
real-
Just
showing
made, you know.
brilliance in writing. You know, the other thing, a news item, a month or two ago, octopus tentacles put a little boy in a hospital. His mother apparently allowed him to reach in and try to pet an
Oh, I
octopus.
remember that.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
And
Saw a
he got,
picture of
he got
that.
the welts on him, little suction cup type of injury.
His mother took it very well. Matter, it was a petting, they were petting and, but when they
Pet the
marked her up,
octopus.
that kid had lots of little hickeys on him, there ain't no doubt about that.
Yeah, thank you, Jim.
Oh, sure.
Excellent.
Thank you for coming.
So what's next, my man?
Well, next month, we're gonna have a meeting. Cindy will be leading us in, it's the final problem.
It is.
And, so
Cindy
Cindy,
meet Moriarty,
mhm,
and then Moriarty will be here with her. That's her husband.
bound to be an exciting meeting. So we will be back here in our new and improved room with a TV we can actually see.
That's outstanding.
It's great, isn't
Yes, sir.
I realized something I meant to do in show and tell, if I can fit it in here now. but-
Well, all
Or a
right.
brief thing, because this is related. I've just finished a mystery by Cyril Hare called The Wind Blows Death. Hare was a lawyer, and actually this was a pseudonym, but he was writing in the forties and fifties. This was published in 49, and this will sound familiar to you. If the logical solution is an impossibility, then either there is something faulty with the logic, or the impossibility is a delusion. That's I guess, it's Hare's variation on Holmes.
Yeah, whatever's.
Oliver's left.
If you eliminate the impossible.
I like
That's
that.
great.
Thank you.
I like the Holmes one better. Let's vote.
So,
Let's hear it for Jeff.
Jeff,
Stewart.
as always, IT expert. Jeff, I'll be calling you soon about the email, because obviously you're gonna have to make a house call to my home
Okay.
to figure out why I can't do email properly, because I'm stupid. On the record, is there anything else before we close today? We're a little early, which is good, because I've got to pick up plumbing parts before I go back to the mountain.
Do we want to hear our poem read by our man?
Normally, we would have our friend Sandy would have
Limerick.
a limerick for us, and then we would close with Gail.
Yes, we'll have it here in just a second.
I have a quick question.
You sure?
Somebody have any reference for the McKay book stories or
How did they?
What do you want to know?
is it worth going?
Yes.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
I go
Dean
weekly.
McKay,
I go weekly, and they have an extensive mystery aisle set, two
Um,
rows of bookcases. One side is hardcover, the other side is.
So they
paperback.
have used books and new books or what?
It's
is it?
used, it's all used, although some are like new.
Okay.
It's worth it too.
why
Yeah,
come this
you're already
far?
here.
We don't go to home?
Yeah, you might.
Day, but
Okay.
Hmm.
just had that down as an option.
Let me see if I can pull up Gail here. Okay, oops. Stopping, let me get back into the, here we go. I'll be right with you, folks.
No, if Gail did it on time, we wouldn't believe it anyways.
Drugs I found connected.
And turn it down a little bit. I'm so glad we have this, that we can still hear Gail talk.
For those that wouldn't know, Gail was one of our founding members who passed away this last year, so we
In Indianapolis,
continue to carry him in our
Passed
stead.
away
he
and,
had moved there, back there.
oh, really?
And he misses a word here and there, I can't quite see it, I guess, he's looking off his screen, here we go.
Is well to.
Sorry about that. Messed it up. Okay, here it comes.
Okay. 221B by Vincent Sterrett, BSI. Kids well together, still, two men of note who never lived and so and never died. How very near they seem, yet how remote. That age before the world went awry. But still the game's afoot for those with ears, attuned to catch the distant view halloo. England is England yet, for all our fears. Only those things the heart believes are true. A yellow fog settles past the window pane as night descends upon this fabled street. A lonely hansom splashes through the rain. The ghostly gas lamps fall 20 feet. Here, though the world explodes, these two survive. And it's always 1895.
That's like Billy and I, we thought, he groped, he goes.
We worry. With that, we are dismissed. We'll
Thank
see
you.
next month.
Yeah, that's it.
So how do you-
Thank you.